all day yesterday, like totally relaxed, chilled,
Mm,
uh, listened to a lot of Terrence Howard, and Joe Rogan. Uh,
mm,
it was really nice to listen to them, and I could hear so much wisdom coming through, uh, in so many different ways, and so much excitement of what that looks like and how people can get involved. Uh, the one thing that I would challenge a lot is like the patents and things like this, but that's okay. It is what it is, in terms of somehow creating that level of communication. Hey, Elaine,
Hello. Hi, good
Hello,
how are
morning.
Elaine.
you?
Yeah. Sagita, you look different today.
Yeah,
Yes.
tell
I
me, what's the
almost couldn't
difference?
recognize you. I don't know. Maybe the cap. Yeah.
Maybe my new face.
Yeah.
How are you, Elaine?
Okay, good. Um, I'm going to a Bitcoin event like in an hour, so I'll probably
Nice.
have to hop.
Yeah. What's going on? What's happening? Tell us what's the event? What's it like? What's it
Oh
supposed
no,
to be?
there's a weekly Bitcoin coffee meetup from the
Oh,
local
that's nice.
community here. Yeah, yeah. But I'm just going every other week because they alternate locations and the other one
Mhm.
is further away. Yeah.
Would be cool if you could invite somebody from that community if somebody wants to join the calls. Other day.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I have a friend. W- I met her there. She currently works at Amazon and she hates her job and she wants to do Bitcoin stuff, but she she hasn't figured out like what to do yet.
What does she do? What does she do?
She's a product manager. Yeah, at Amazon.
Amazing. Let's have a conversation with her.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll ask her and see what she thinks. Yeah.
Like just to be
Mm.
involved even in the community, right now, just to get kind of curious and just feel the energy is the first thing, and then from that place, there's a lot of cool stuff.
Right.
See,
I like the way
because
I like the way Lao is putting like welcome people to participate in this. Like just
yeah,
open doors to participation, and then we will figure it out the rest together. Because it's like we're doing it together beyond ourselves. So we all need to
Mm,
figure it out. Like we need to all need to step in into some kind of self leadership role that we have not stepped in. So it's like it's a beautiful opportunity for somebody who is working in the field that they are not excited about and enter here and just like we can jam, like we can support each other. That's what we do.
and do what they
yeah.
love.
She's been trying to escape work, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I heard Amazon has a toxic culture,
Mm,
but yeah.
interesting.
So where
It's
were we?
interesting
Hmm?
because we were just talking about Terrence Howard's and Joe Rogan's podcast together, and
Mm-hmm.
you watch it? Did you have time to listen, or did you
Which
have
one?
you had
No. No.
yeah, so Terrence was talking about a lot of patents and basically a lot of discoveries that he has found within his own research, that he was able to verify about how we can really emphasize, hydrogen and gravity and circular flower of life, really emphasizing the importance of the flower of life, and how, the right angle philosophy, even since the megalith structures have been misrepresented
Mm.
uh, in our society since 10,000 BC, because even when you think of the megaliths or the monoliths, whichever way you want to
What's a
describe them,
megalith? I don't know what it is. Yeah.
they're like the ancient structures created from the very, like, for like if you look at some of the uh in Turkey, I forget if it's Urka or Urfe, Gabor, not Gabor. Um Gabortele or Gadortele. I forget the.
Quebec Litechi.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I like the way you were trying to say.
So it's a discovered site where was before
Oh,
10,000 BC.
the stones, Stonehenge. Is it-
No, that's actually Stonehenge was built 7,000 years after that.
Oh, okay.
Uh so there is a lot of these across the world that create a higher level of octave. And from my hallucination and what kind of came through me, not what kind of came through me, what came through me was these are all archaic, ancient anchor points in the globe for us to build upon, to use them with the existing and new coming future of engineering to really bridge them together. So I sent Robert Edward Grant a message and to talk deeper about it. And so we're gonna organize a conversation just in person, like sorry, like just privately. But the point is that we want to really bring this together because with his wisdom and other people's wisdom, we can really start building and engineering the future that we already know to be true now.
Mm,
Versus waiting, because a lot of people have great ideas, but what they're struggling with, and from my perspective, what they're struggling with is putting it all together so that we can actually make it happen now.
mm,
Because they're only seeing from many places of their own perspectives versus getting curious about each other's perspectives and seeing how those pieces come together for building.
mm-hmm. Right. I've also watched videos about how our history has been kind of messed with.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are knowing the messing part of it, but like the deeper we go, uh, with a lot of these wisdom keepers like Joe Dispenza, Sage Robbins, Terrence Howard, Joe Rogan, uh, there's other names, a lot of them, by the way. So I'm attracting a lot of these people now to my reality because um my hallucination is because like we're starting to take real serious action in building it, in making things happen. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, what do we need to do to just continue the conversations and really bring our wisdoms together? And even Terrence was talking about Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, how he wanted to connect with them, and Joe Rogan's like super fascinated. And so there's an interconnection there for sure. And he
Hmm.
really brings up Walter Russell, which wrote a great book back in the day called The Universal One, where, I read that, I would say, years ago, and I shared it with a lot of like people back then. And it's interesting because like Tesla was like telling him how he's almost 1,000 years ahead of the game, and when he wrote that paper or that book. And there's a lot of thesis or basis off of that from Walter Russell that he's even the way that he thought was very much in the right angle format, just like and again, I don't know this to be true because I imagine again that this is a hypothesis that's the way that he thought. However, and same with the monolith, like the megalith, right? Sagitas, sorry.
Megalithic structures.
Right. So the megalith, sorry. So my apologies. So the
Megalithic.
megalith, yeah. And so my hypothesis, or I imagine based off of kind of the stuff that I'm watching and paying attention to, they're imagining everything by the right angle, but if we are part of a circular and a spiral dynamic in life, then why is everything that we do part of a right angle? If you look at nature, there's not many right angles.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all circular. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Did you know, have you looked into Nikola Tesla and how he manifests?
I mean, I've looked
I have
into
not.
Tesla, but I'd love to hear what
Okay.
you're suggesting. Yeah.
Okay, this is all spiritual stuff, right? Yeah, so Nikola Tesla, the name Tesla came from Nikola Tesla, the car
Yeah.
from Elon Musk. Yeah.
Yeah.
The inventor, Nikola Tesla, like he's the person who invented the AC, like alternate current, right? Which um actually Thomas Edison got all the credit for, but he was actually the inventor, right? Nikola Tesla actually worked for Thomas Edison, but then he quit. And then like they were in a fight. Like if you watch the movie, there was a movie about them, their fight during the turn of the century, right? Um where Thomas Edison, he's more like a business guy where he actually, he's a good marketing guy, right? To bring all those inventions to the public, but the person who's actually invented it was Nikola Tesla. Yeah. And he also invented many other things that we use now, right? Even like the remote control or some things like that. And when you dig deeper into what Nikola does, the way he is so advanced is he he meditates and then he has a ball in his hand, and whenever he's like in his alpha state, when he's like between wake and sleeping, the ball would fall and then he would get all these insights and he would write it down right away. Yeah, it was really interesting. And he's really into numbers like 369, and there's a manifestation method based on this also. Like you would repeat what you want. I think it was 6 times a day. Like there's a formula to this, which I find fascinating. Yeah. But
Tell us
this
about the formula.
oh I need to dig it out. But you can see it on YouTube if you share if you let me share
Yeah.
the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, so Terrence was talking about the 369 as well.
Oh yeah.
And the 369 is extremely important. So I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper in it for anybody that's watching or watching it back. So it's important.
Oh, can I share my screen? Okay. Yeah, so this is like the universal code and numbers of 369. Like it was funny, like they even say that he is so into these numbers, like he will walk 3 times around the block before he goes home, or like whenever he goes to hotels, he would pick the numbers that have 369 and live in. Yeah. Like it's a universal secret in a way, right? So
Yep.
you can watch all these manifestation methods of him.
Yep.
369, yeah. So I just find that fascinating, right?
Extremely important, by the way.
Yeah. Um, hmm? So
They say that if you understand the 369, that you have the keys to the universe. And the way that Terrence had explained it based off of, the vertices and the tetrahedrons and the shapes,
yeah.
it also is really fascinating because it can create the unlimited energy that's available to us all, and the infinite intelligence that is able to come through us as a result of paying attention to these numbers. So it's beautiful that you bring this up because it's extremely aligned with what people see, and maybe some people have thought of what Terence in the past, even 6 years ago when he was talking at Oxford, how thought he was insane. It's actually super brilliance. And it's unfortunate that our society doesn't pay attention. It's unfortunate
Yeah.
that we don't listen hard enough or clearly enough to really construct and understand what our infinite responsibility here is in this plane to really bring it to life, you know? And I think it's such a disempowering way of creation. And it's so important that more of us come together now than ever
Mm.
because
You see
we
that?
have so much capacity. Yeah, go ahead. Energy, frequency, and vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, like in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Yeah. And it's really interesting because like in my culture, Chinese culture, it's all about energy. It's all about qi. That's why like my friends, my Western friends are like, why do you go for massage that hurts?
Mm,
You know, because the way I always have to explain these because I was helping Western companies in Hong Kong and China, right?
mhm,
And like if you look at the medical concept, it's different. Um, I think Western medicine is based on chemicals, right? It's, you
mm,
know, but the reason why we do massages or have massage chairs, like people are willing to spend like $20,000 on a massage chair, is because the belief is we're an energy system where your body, the reason why you're sick is because first your emotions affect your physical body. So when things are blocked, like so you can imagine your whole body is this internet superhighway, or you know when it's blocked, then you have ailments, right? So massage actually would unblock those ailments, and also acupuncture. Yeah, acupuncture, or to unblock those um yeah, stuck energy basically. Yeah.
I would like to just emphasize that, you know, uh, what you're sharing right now, these secrets of the universe,
Mhm.
frequency, energy, and vibration, this is us ultimately what is the divine economy, the real economy, the economy of infinite intelligence. And this is where uh, our future is headed because letting go of that construct of the monetary system and really finding the secrets of the energy, frequency, and vibration is what's going to allow the unlimited and infinite level of intelligence to come through us. Because just as we breathe in and we breathe out, the whole plane of our and again, Terrence speaks of this on the video, is like it's all breathing in like this. And so but because our predecessors have constructed an expression of needing something that is in gold or in dollar paper as the valued asset versus the valued asset of us as our inherent wealth and the beingness of our energy, frequency, and our vibration, we've created stranded inefficiencies. And so this is why the secrets are embedded in us all, why it's
Mhm.
so important to pay attention to one another and why it's so important to listen to one another, because from that space we can actually start to put a lot of beautiful pieces together, like the 369s.
Yeah, and we're not physical beings. We are vibrations, right? When you look.
It's a yes and, Elaine. It's a yes and. We all we are we it's we are both. We are physical beings and we are spiritual beings and we are energetical beings. So we all are it. We are energy, frequency, and vibration. And when he tells like let's think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration. How I hear it is so when I want to manifest something, I tune in into frequency. I tune in the vibration of that event that I want to manifest, and then I feel the energy of that, and then it happens. So it's already kind of created in quantum. And that's the secret to manifestation, I guess. What he's pointing out.
Yeah, have you guys seen the movie The Living Matrix?
No, I have not.
It's fascinating. Living Matrix. I think Joe Dispenza is also in this movie. This one. And also,
was
yeah, there are a lot of scientists like Lynn Eddihart. I think she wrote the book The Field. It's about, like we seem separate, but there's information, in this negative space between us. The Living Matrix, and this talks about the science of healing. Yeah, Bruce Lipton is in here. Lynn McTaggart. Yeah, the US astronaut, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. I find this fascinating as well, because they talk about our worldview previously was the Newtonian worldview, which was about a mechanical world, but afterwards they discovered it's actually not like that.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, see, so this is the mechanical
of Western thinking.
Yeah. The
Now, Newton described a very well-behaved universe of separate things operating in space and time according to fixed laws.
Right.
The idea of the body as machine. The body is this well-behaved machine with the two engines of the body being the brain and the heart, and the whole central orchestra being conducted by DNA. That's the model we have. And we think of various processes being localized in certain parts of the body. What's wrong with that is just about everything. Body is completely decentralized. There is no
Amen.
central brain in a sense, and that the brain is closer to an antenna receiver. It's closer to a transducer of information, a receiver and a transmitter of information, but not the central repository of that information.
Well, now what's really interesting is if you have that worldview, then everything else that you create in the world, including organizations and
Changes.
structures, is centralized, right? But now that they discovered it's actually not that way, then everything changes, right?
Everything. Everything.
I
love
encourage
it.
this is really
And that
interesting.
curiosity is something that we must pay more attention to. Can you drop this into the Lighthouse community?
I just did.
Oh, you're amazing. And that is something that I think is so like responsible, right? Like we have this responsibility of cultivating this type of energy, frequency, and vibration, and then exchanging that level of energy, frequency, and vibration to really start to manifest a really way more responsible future. Because if we continue to do the same things over and over again, it's really just us being irresponsible from my perspective, right? And this is something that I find, we were talking about this the other day, Sagitas, is like it's so important for us as leaders to come together with other great leaders to stop talking about it and start building it. Like we don't need to just talk anymore. We all know what the truth is, so let's just fucking build.
Well,
And
in some
also-
way, we need to talk as well.
No, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not just
Yeah.
this, it's also action.
Yeah. And
Right?
also Darwinism has the idea that survival of the fittest. So you have to compete and survive.
Horseshit. It's Bullshit.
which is, you know, and then now we discover like every single person is, you can't compare because we're all different, and we have a different
Oh.
mission,
We are
right?
completely different universes. When we look in each other enough, we can understand that. And when we hear each other out fully, you know, what a reality you're living in and what reality I'm living in is, it's very, and how we see things and how we understand things is super, super cool to study each other through that lens as a universe.
Right. So
And I think that a lot of people don't.
I discovered this quote, or discovered, I kind of from my own practice with my body exploration and healing it from being damaged completely to develop it back into its primal state or better than it was. And I created this quote, flexible mind, flexible body, flexible body, flexible mind. There's no separation over there. There's like, it's a one organism. The more flexible my body became through all the practice, the more my mind became flexible. I could open my mind more and more. The more I opened my mind, the more my body became flexible.
Yep.
It works both ways. Both ways.
it's
Or
sort
there's
it's
no
sort of
even a way.
related
Maybe it is.
related to what Tony teaches, right? Like the physical state affects the mental state, right? The triad, right?
Right. So physiology first. As a focus of our communication with our physiology, we can actually speak way more than any of the words that we say. So that's why action is everything. Action speaks way more louder than any words. And the other day I was talking about, you know, not really necessarily saying anything at the banquet, but being myself and not needing to say anything because it's in our communication of taking action and moving. Is where it speaks way more, way higher, in a way higher level of vibration. So your beingness, your physiology first, the way that you really conduct yourself in the world by energy, frequency, and vibration through the actions that you take is the highest form of communication. Physiology first. You know, then there's the focus, right? Which is based off of our eyes, our face, our communication, you know, of what's happening in this expression. And then it's, you know, the language, which is what's coming out of our mouth. And that this is like, this triad is such a fundamental. It is the same thing when there's 3 levels of mastery. First thing is the cognitive mastery, right? Right? You think about it, you know, and then the second one is emotional mastery. You feel it. And then the final and most important one is the physical mastery. The thing is, from my perspective, I believe that we've been duped into not trusting into the physical mastery first and the feelings, instead thinking that we need to actually get in a mind, so stuck in the mind that we forget to just actually be ourselves. And it disconnects us from our heart because of the predecessors and the societal construct of not only, you know, the spiral dynamics of going from survival to awakened soul, or from, you know, our physiological needs to our self-actualization, but instead flipping that around on its head and really recognizing and teaching our next generation that you're already an awakened soul, you're already self-actualized, and from that place you get to serve.
Do you have you also heard that sound
And color.
also plays, have you heard this book before? Let's see.
Sound and color, Elaine, both.
Yeah. Let's see. This one. If I share this. Oops, can you see this?
528.
Like the frequency of love is like 432, I think.
Yeah.
Um, but interestingly, in Western music, they altered it. I think
Right.
it was the what's it called? Um,
And if you
sorry,
compare it to,
forget.
and then if you compare the 2 hertzes to the water, you could see how disconnected um this hertz versus the other hertz. I don't know if it's less or more. I don't remember.
I
Um
think it's the Rothschild Foundation or
440.
something.
440,
Like
there we go.
the Rothschild family, well, which is also the bank, it's also the entity that is behind Federal Reserve Bank.
Hmm.
Altered the music standard, the frequency, I think.
And
Uh
if you look at that comparing with the water and how it affects the water within your body, because we're made up of 85-90% of water, you can then
mhm.
see the symphony and the orchestration of 432 hertz versus 440 hertz and how it affects our internal system.
Yeah.
There you
Well, I don't know if
And
it's conspiracy
and
theory or what, but
and why the music were altered, right? So we would not remember ourselves, because once we hear the frequency that we can relate from our childhood, for example, when we grew up, we heard music, right? That we bonded as, like, I take this example from Terence. When we bonded with friends and we heard all together the music, some kind of song, now we have this bond and memory where we know we ourselves together with other people. And then if we hear that song many years later, then we become again ourselves. So we tune back to our own frequency from the past, and altering this kind of frequencies in the music that we've been played. It's literally by, if you, I don't know how much is altered, but it's already disturbed the frequency, so we cannot vibration does not remind on the level that it could if it would be the right frequency.
mm. You know, in Chinese music, there's no sharps and flats, which is really interesting, I think.
What is
Because
sharps and flat?
no, because all the sounds, like if you play a this instrument, like however you play it, it sounds great because there's no sharps and flats. Yeah,
Hmm.
which is I just find fascinating because I always like compare uh my experience in the US versus over in Asia, like what are some of the differences, and so I found these things out, right? Yeah, so there's this 432 versus 440 hertz difference in the Western music standard, I think, was altered.
I heard in one I don't know, but I heard about one tribe in Africa that when the child is born, or even before conceived, or gave, like, how to say, before come to this world, the community, the tribe creates the rhythm, the song, the chanting for that person. So then the person is in the belly, the whole community chant that song and sing that song specifically designed for that person. And then in the some age when the person starts losing himself, forgetting or herself, the whole community come together and chant the same song again for the person to tune in back to the primal state.
Because it takes a village. You see, this is the thing.
Yeah.
The best way to raise a child is to take to really take a
Yeah.
village and learn from everybody. This is one of the most powerful resourcefulness that we can create
Mm-hmm.
for the next
Mm-hmm.
generation is to show how we learn from each other. This is why my life has been devoted to being curious about every part of the world, because I realize that important patterns are recognized by getting curious and immersing ourselves into environments that are uncomfortable, and by putting yourself in there without any knowingness, you discover your real knowingness. And this is the thing, is like you start to learn from different societal construct cultures and start to see the pattern creation and the mastery of all of that. And by it coming together, it creates not only this 432 hertz in terms of the way that your tone and pitch, but it also creates a new way of actually stepping into an identity on all of us, which we all have inherently within ourselves. The thing is that because of the construct of, let's call it, misrepresentation. And look at this. I mean, if you look to any of these like whether it's the hierarchy of needs or whether it's the 4-4, like these are not very old structures. These are something that have been created very recently. And you go deeper past that into the flower of life. Some of these concepts are like ancient to their discovery, and that's coming from truth. So people are lacking the curiosity of going so depth into the history books that they're actually basing their existing reality off of information that is being communicated with a fallacy and not truth.
I like the way Terence puts this. It's basically very simple. It's a 2D reality of like trying to understand reality through 2D lens. That's
Right,
the error that the whole system is.
Yeah.
The whole system is built on, and one of his fundamental kind of very basic ways to challenge that is 1 times 1 cannot be equal 1. And he breaks mathematics right there in the first number, and 0 does not exist. And what he's basically saying that cannot be, if we take 1 times 1, it's a cause and effect, right? So effect cannot be remain the same after the action has been taken. 1 times 1 is already should be more than 1.
Yeah.
If you take
so
$1 times $1, what do you get?
Exactly.
That's the beautiful question, which is he's saying the banks are playing a lot games based on.
I have a friend who conducts the orchestra, and he tells me, yeah, so the Western music is tuned to the standard pitch of 440 hertz, which was an international standard that was constructed in 1939, right? But our natural hertz frequency that opens the heart is actually 432.
Right.
Yeah. It's a healing sound, and the sound actually correlates to all our chakras. All the frequencies correlates to all chakras, right? Which Joe Dispenza calls energy center.
Our friend Nick, he's very genius and he very studied temples for many years already, and traveled around the world and visited a lot of secret temples. And what he recognized there, that all the rooms are designed by frequency. So every room has a different frequency. Not in all the temples. I'm talking about some specific India. In India, there is this hidden hundreds of temples right in the caves. And every room is a different frequency. So when we come into something that we can resonate, as I was telling in previous story, to the song, when we come into that natural frequency, the frequency tunes us back, so we can heal from cancer in like just be tuned to our old selves, pretty much.
Yeah, so I guess music is really connected to healing also, right? Like there's also the
Yes,
gongs and sound.
It's frequency, right? So everything is frequency and vibration and energy, as we learned from Tesla now.
So which is very interesting, because if sound can heal us, why do we need medicine?
We don't. That's the point. Why the masters don't use medicine? if you go to any master that lives in the mountains, is never goes for a fucking doctor. It's just
Yeah.
there is no need. Then we are healthy, and now there is a need because like it's fucked up situation in reality because of those frequencies, because of those centralizations that is so far off from nature. The nature is built now by 2D reality fundamentals. That's what Terence is saying. That's
Yeah.
why it's off. Buildings are off. Like when we were in why we went to specifically with Eric to that snake in Mexico. There is this place where we were in a snake, living in a snake. Why we went there? Because I spoke to Nick and he told me about ways of building structures, and that we the same, that we cannot have a square rooms. We need the round floors, rounded roof, and it creates different kind of energy. Then we support it by our environment and is not square. Feng Shui, Japanese wisdom knowledge, right? Architecture. Sorry, I got a
Chinese
mouse in.
originally. Yeah. Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
heard that even our
this is right.
plumbing, when our plumbing, like the tubes are straight and angular, it actually affects the water. Because water has memory, according to this Dr. Emoto, Mazuru Emoto, where actually you can look at this Dr. Emoto. Moto. And he was studying, like, if you say bad words to water, it will the crystals that comes out will
Yes, this is
look
a great book.
terrible, right? Like,
So this is what I'm saying.
So
This is
what is that saying to us, right? If we can spell the water, then we can spell everything. And if we spell bad words on the water, then it becomes this, bad water. So if we spell on anything, everything, beautiful words, beautiful spells, intentional spells, then reality starts changing. When we change the story, reality starts changing. That's what also Joe Dispenza is bringing to the table. So how we tell the story is super important because
yeah,
we continuously creating. We cannot not create. Creation is it's a part of human being or nature existence. So we always creating. Are we creating clumsy way, or are we creating the way we want to create? That's up to the mastery, up to everyone to figure it out, I guess.
apparently heavy metal music creates this.
so this is what I was saying at the beginning is because we are 85, 90% water, if we're listening and we're paying attention, and it's not just music, it's also in our tonality, it's also in our physiology, it's also in the way we communicate with each other. We actually create a sound frequency, vibration, and energy that illuminates that in one another when we're really being in presence of one another. So that essence of compassion, of wisdom, or the opposite, there is this feeling that is communicated to the body of one another because that's what brings us together or separates us. And so it's so important to be paying attention to the feelings of communication when somebody is speaking or around you, or because that is the true communication that's coming from our infinite level of teacher. And but you have to be connected to the body. You have to be connected to your internal self. And music will help you discover that feeling because it will attune the true hertz of your essence that will make you connect to that music. So as you can see here, the heavy metal, the negative language, the disempowering comments, it disconnects you from the water in your body, whereas the compassion, the wisdom, the kindness, and the reverence is what actually brings you closer to your body. And so by our true nature, our feeling is what is real. Our feeling is the communication. Whereas in the past, we were told to ignore the feelings or to ignore the emotions. And in fact, there are still in this time and space a lot of business people that say, hey, ignore the emotion and just focus on, which I completely disagree with. I completely disagree with. And I will fight and argue to the end of my days to not pay attention to our emotions, because our emotion is telling us something. To get curious, I don't mean to express or to get angry and to blurb that out, but it is something to pay attention to and to take that internal expression and get curious about that energy and motion that's within you in your body, because that is telling your internal self something to get more curious about. And then as a result, you can pass that on.
Yeah, have you seen the IKEA plant bullying experiment also?
Say again?
There's bullying experiment. The IKEA plant bullying experiment. So they had like 2 plants in the schools, and they had kids talk good things to one plant and bully the other plant. And then in the end, what happened was like one plant kind of, you know, died. And then the other
Yeah, you see, and
you know,
this happens in any environment, and we're not paying enough attention. We're not being curious enough. Oh, look at the little beauty over here. Look at the little
oh,
puppies and all the love. Look at
oh,
that. Can you put your phone on side, bro, so we can see
Oh,
them
yeah.
more? Uh,
oh, oh, is that 3?
3 of them,
yes.
yeah.
Oh,
Nala's a mama.
wait, is it 3 or 4?
Maybe. No, it's 3 total.
Oh, 3 little puppies.
3 little puppies.
Oh,
I was
nice.
just to check because we were anxious a bit. Usually one puppy is going somewhere in some kind of hole, and then she gets a bit nervous. That's how.
They're so beautiful, bro.
Oh, have you also seen the rice experiment?
The which one?
Experiment.
The rice
So
experiment.
I think it was the same Dr. Mazuru.
Mm.
Mazuru Emoto, right? So he made like jars of rice, and then you see loving things, well, like one jar of rice. The other you say hateful words, and then the
Mhm.
third one you kind of and then like and then they're just placed there for I don't know how much time, but like the one with love, doesn't deteriorate
Mm.
as much versus the one. Actually, the worst was the one that you ignore, not
Yeah,
even the one that
ignorance
you hate.
is lower
Yeah,
frequency hate. Yeah.
yeah. So imagine if you ignore your kids, right? Like then, what does that do to them? And this is the chart that really shifted my way of thinking. Um, because all of these emotions are frequencies, right? But most people are under 200.
Yep.
Or our media encourages all the emotions under 200, right? Like all the news is fearful. It's about it's always bad news in some ways.
Well, and this is the thing is because it's based off of creating fear and control, that's the only way to create control is to create fear, right? And now I am the voice, right? Like Tony's saying, now I am the voice. I will create, not destroy, right? I am a leader. I am a force for good, a force for God. Like these are fundamental language responsible roles that are saying, hey, step up, step up, step up. Like we all have this capacity. It's a language where it allows us to really empower ourselves. Fundamentally, we need to have from my perspective, a better self-communication, compassionate leader within ourselves that is more compassionate to these shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desires, anger, pride, courage. Like, there needs, from my perspective, needs to be more compassion in the world, because it's not, there is nothing wrong with having differences of opinion, by the way. It's just being curious enough to say, hey, why? Like, why are you thinking in this way? What is the curiosity here? Instead of pushing people away and saying, hey, this is wrong or this is right. And instead getting curious about each other and having that thoughtful disagreement to discovering each other. And that, from my perspective, is the true reverence. That's what's going to get that acceptance, that reason, that love, that joy, that peace, and that ultimate consciousness together to then create a world where we get to actually play versus fight.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. And currently it seems like the world is becoming more and more polarized, right? Maybe because of money printing, it's putting people at very different angles of seeing things, right? And not communicating enough, right?
Can you unpack more? Or how do you see that?
Well, okay, for example, I can only reference Hong Kong because I know that best, right? Like, so in Hong Kong, it's so expensive, you know, property is so expensive. So people who already have property, you know, like the older generation, you know, they feel it's fine because they already own lots of property. So their assets become more and more and more. But then the young people who are in their 20s cannot afford anything, right? It's like Vancouver also, right? Like, if you don't have $1 million, you can't buy much, right? So the younger people cannot, you know, buy property, so they become poor, right? So then, because of money printing, it also, you know, polarizes the two groups of people. Because the more assets you have, the more wealthy you get. You know, if you don't have any assets, then your money depreciates, right? So it becomes like that. So you see the world at very different angles now. Because the people who have something already, they say, well, that's no problem. You know, I'm living really well, right? But those who don't have assets already, then their money is debased. And, you know, and when a lot of people have their money debased, like, they're gonna get really angry, right? Because they can't survive. Then the world becomes destabilized. And I think this is happening everywhere right now.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's as they say, is like the game is about to get as close as possible to the money printer in this game, in the system. The closer to the money printer one is the more purchasing power they have for the same amount of money, because the inflation doesn't happen directly once they print money. The inflation happens once they started to be used. So it's a cause and effect that ripples through time, and those who sits by the printer, closer to the printer, they get new money out of nowhere. How cool is that? And with the full power of purchasing. Only after they've been used, the power starts depreciating. Otherwise, it's a closed loop system, anyways.
Mm. Do you know about the Gini coefficient?
No.
So Gini coefficient measures the income inequality, right? So around the world, so the more dark, the more unequal the place, right? So it's the developed countries that are like, you know, North America, Australia, that are better, right? And I think, well, this is up until 2020, but it'll be interesting to see what's going on now, because I think the Gini coefficient by countries is probably getting worse, right? When inequality, it's becoming worse.
And that's the inequality they're talking about is by age, that is by age somehow. Interesting. Age inequality of money access, or how to say.
Yeah, and even just looking at did you know about the Magnificent Seven in the stock market?
Tell us more.
Yeah. I think I heard about it. Yeah.
Okay, so the S&P Standard & Poor's, okay, this chart. Actually, I always tell people about this because I'm like, all right, here. Okay, why is this yoga person showing up here? Okay, so if you look at the Standard & Poor's 500, the top 500 stocks, in the market, only 7 companies are going this way, right? And 493 are going flat. So if you're not the Tesla, Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, you're flat, okay? And actually, all these 7 companies are in AI. So if you're not in AI, you're basically going this way. And then inflation is what, according to Michael Saylor, is what, 25%, right? And they, of course, they tell you it's 2 to 3%, but we can all feel it that these 4 years after COVID, things have doubled, right, in price. So I'm like stepping back and telling myself, I'm either in AI or I need to be in Bitcoin, because you're not going to make it, right? You're not going to make inflation.
The high computational power.
Yeah, because unless you have a company that grows so fast, like AI companies, like if you're in like Walmart, Coca-Cola, like airlines, like how are you going to grow that fast and beat inflation, right? Yeah. So I think this chart is really telling, right? Only
It is very
7
telling, and it
stocks.
also emphasizes the importance of the speed of light and how we can actually be involved in that speed financially now on an economic standard with the infrastructure and build from that place instead of being left behind. And that is really what the future holds. The level of communication and the level of telepathy, if you want to call it, that we can cultivate within one another and inside of redefining the art of business, it can enhance the way that we move and create the new economy and cultivate an economic paradigm that changes our existence alongside nature.
Yeah, so basically we're getting rid of a lot of the middlemen.
Right.
This new structure, right? Yeah. Oh, actually I can show you, because I looked at I had a team of interns that helped looked into NFTs like 2 years ago. And so NFT is not just like JPEGs if you really look into the details of it. It's actually getting rid of all the middlemen. I mean, the whole movement is about getting rid of middlemen.
Right.
Right. Yeah, so we looked into NFTs, and it's more than just a JPEG, which people kind of misunderstood it as, right? It could be music, it could be game asset, it could be tickets, it could be VIP cards, it could be private data, certification, physical product, domain names, right? All that. And yeah, it could be all of this, right? So a lot of this that fits decentralization, it's traceable, you can prove ownership, it can be anonymous, and it can be one of a kind, right? Is what NFT, non-fungible token, is all about. And so here's the key thing. So I think in Web 2, we always have a middleman. We're still in Web 2. You know, if it's art, there's an auction house between the artist and the buyer. If it's Uber, you have Uber in between the driver and the passenger. If it's media company, you know, like, I don't know, BBC, CNN, you have the entertainers between the media companies, between the entertainers and the audience, right? If it's an e-commerce site, you have between, if you're shopping on Amazon, the site is between you and the factory, right? That actually creates the product. And if you're getting married, you have the government marriage registration between, you know, you and the marriage certification, right? And even art appraisal, you have a middleman that appraises, right? And the school, you know, you need the school to give you a certification so that you're graduated from the school, right? So I think Web3 is about no middleman. You don't need that anymore, right? Like if even for Bitcoin, like I can just send the Bitcoin to you without the bank, right?
Yep.
Um,
And it creates autonomy, complete autonomy.
right. And maybe like in the future, instead of an Uber, is I can have my car, which is like, let's say it's a Tesla car, because it's automated. It can go out and do business. It can go out to take passengers, and then directly it will pay me in my wallet,
Right.
you know, without a middleman.
Complete sovereignty.
Yeah.
And that's a liberation of energy, what Jeff Booth was talking about in that interview. I see that we can liberate, literally, services, liberate products, you know, from, because we have a technology and advancement already. So if we fix the money, then we have abundance of everything. That's what it says.
Well,
So
what it is, it takes away the stranded energy, right? Because these middlemen are, what they're doing is they're holding on to the stranded energy, and they're being the ones that are the bottleneck instead of allowing the flow of our true nature to come through, which is what allows passion to come out. Because when people are directly associated with a return from their own energy, they are excited to continue to manifest it. Whereas these middlemen are creating stranded energy, and they're limiting the perspective of each individual that wants to really step up as the creator.
Yeah. Which means all of us needs to be creators.
100%.
Create value, right? Yes.
100%.
And not be middlemen. Yeah.
And support that type of ecosystem in every single way.
Mm. Oh, also, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh,
I said I hope.
I want to show you something. I created a AI. 1 second.
Elaine, you're brilliant. I love having you so close to us. You're a very special person, and I just really want to acknowledge your wisdom and graciousness, and how you're so benevolent in your nature and always offering wisdom and information and energy to us and the group. And you're so instrumental in the help, and I'm just very, very grateful to have you here with us.
Thanks, Eric. Well, I just love to share what I know. And you know, and sometimes I feel like I can't share it to everyone either. It's certain people like you guys, where, you know, I can share spiritual stuff and financial stuff at the same time, right?
You have such tremendous wisdom. It's so important more people discover you. So I'm excited to shout your name to the world and say, yeah, Elaine's amazing.
Let me share with you something, which
Please.
So I talked about how I often do, like, because I went back to Asia. I'm always like kind of explaining to my Western clients about culture and all that. Deeper into these cultural stuff. So Richard Wilhelm is the guy who translated the traditional Chinese book of I Ching into into German first, I think, and then it's into English afterwards. So I Ching is about the book of changes. There are 64, I would say, phenomena that
G keys?
describes, huh?
Is it like a G keys? Or how do you call it? G
What's G keys? I don't know what's
Gene keys.
I
Gene keys. 60.
I Ching, yeah, is describing his phenomena. So what I did was I put his book, Richard Wilhelm's book, into ChatGPT, and now you can see what it means very quickly, right? So these are the 64 tribes describing the 64 pattern nature and how it evolves. Like, so it's based on the book. What I want to say is, actually what we're experiencing now, even there's a lot of conflict in the world, is actually a cycle in nature. Like based on this wisdom that everything's a cycle, right? Even the plant, the plant will grow and blossom and die. Even countries the same way. There's always a cycle. So we're at a point in history where there's a lot of conflict because maybe there's too much peace previously, and human nature kind of deteriorates, and then but the good news is after that we will flourish again, right? After people see their inadequacies and improves, right? So
Well, wait. Oh, I wanted to see one again real quick. Just number.
well, number one is called creative.
Yeah, the creative.
Yeah.
Represents strength, creativity, and heaven. Amazing.
Yeah. Oh, and then actually the 64 trigrams, 64 trigrams looks like this. Wait. It just describes like human these are like hexagrams. And did you know our computers 01 the invention was inspired by I Ching? It's
Wow.
like, do you see it's on off, like one stroke and like two little strokes is like on off on off on off on off. Yeah, but anyway, maybe more
Wow, this
later
is
on that.
fascinating. I love it. I want to learn more about it.
Yeah, and this is his book. You can read about it.
I will. I
Yeah.
Ching.
Yeah.
Thank you for this. So much wisdom.
Yeah, I'm trying to use the technology in a way. Yeah, I'm experiment with AI right now and see what it can do.
That's a cool one. I made a similar with a GPT. I made it's you can find it as on the public search there on GPT.
Oh,
it's called
okay.
Plebs Comedy Club.
Plebs, how do you spell that?
PLEBS.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Plebs Comedy Club. So this is for Bitcoiners Plebs Comedy Club.
so
there is many rooms. There is more than you can see there or no. Like you have to know some passwords to get in. But I created there's like different rooms. If you crack it.
So it gives you a joke or what?
Yeah, it gives either if you crack it, it gives a joke of stand-up comedy kind of style, and if you go conversation by a bar, it goes to the bar and creates a conversation there about Bitcoin and cracks jokes. And if you go to a spa, there is a spa there is Orange Room, there is, you can just type in Orange Room and it will, or VIP tea lounge. Yeah, that's a secret one. Orange Room, it's not there.
Okay. Oh, it creates an image.
Creates an image of it. It should create an image over time, a joke, an invitation to my Twitter, or like, yeah, also like a wish to go for a walk, or just have a good, like, just remember to laugh, you know, like it's a positive. It creates beautiful images. Always, all the images has different themes. All the rooms has different themes. It was fun making it. I was exploring it very deep. Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes it's really good jokes, really cool. And oh, there is, if you write down portal, that's where the wisdom keepers gathers. If you write down the portal, yeah, that's where Tesla comes in, Einstein's, and all kind of wisdom keepers to. And you can read their conversation about Bitcoin and how they play with Bitcoin, how they can relate to different kind of yeah, it's and it creates this kind of space. Could you read loud? I'm curious what it writes.
Can you see my screen?
I can, but
Alan
it's very.
Watts looks okay. Contemplative. Why is Bitcoin like the universe? Max Satoshi, intrigued. Enlighten me. Alan Watts smiling. Both are infinite, decentralized, and constantly expanding. Cool.
Yeah, so it does this.
Funny.
I love it. Beautiful,
That was
bro.
one of my proof searching for my proof of work. What is my proof of work expression? I was just exploring everything. What can I contribute? How can I contribute to the Bitcoin community? Coin, and at the same time I was exploring AI, and so I just like got this idea that is a pretty.
Oh, I want to say, have you used the latest ChatGPT 4.0? You can actually just speak to it.
Yeah, I did, but I haven't used much. A few times, just tried it out somehow. But it's really cool. Like you can have a conversation literally with the most genius ever. You know,
what
you
I
can
want to
have a
say
really.
in terms of educating people about Bitcoin, I mean, you can they can just talk to that, right? And get the hopefully it doesn't hallucinate. You know, they can
You
just
can ask you can ask it not to hallucinate, and then it does not. It doesn't, like, give it a prompt not to hallucinate, or you know, it's really interesting how we can trick that machine.
Yeah.
You know, the way we want.
Yeah, because for even my friends who have a lot of questions, like I might not be able to answer it like 24/7. They can just talk to it and get all the answers.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Pretty cool.
Okie doke.
Yeah, so when I
have to go.
explain to someone GPT what is possibility, I say, like, imagine you have your professor, your favorite professor sitting next to you, and you collaborating on your dream. You can ask anything; it will give you all the knowledge, all the support, all the tools, or whatever you need. Like, gives you all the answers, or helps you to contemplate and pull out better aspects. It can be a coach, it can be anything. It's just like how
It's crazy. Like education will change drastically. You don't even need to be, you know, in a classroom.
Yeah.
You can
The
learn.
one thing that I believe that is really still very important, and I know, Elaine, you got to go.
Yeah.
But before you go, I believe that there is an infinite level of intelligence that comes through by being with a person. And there is way more infinite level of behavior than passing it to our artificial intelligence. So I believe there's a huge responsibility of making sure that there's that reverence and that communication and connection with each other, because that's the true nature, right? And so I really want to emphasize that out loud, because we don't want to forget that is where that intelligence comes from, and that is what's going to keep us connected to our creator on a collective scale. So just
Absolutely. I think, which means our educator's role is gonna shift from just imparting knowledge to, you know, being caring, or, you know, what humans can do.
facilitating.
Yeah,
Right.
because machines can already tell you all the knowledge, right? You don't need
Right.
that anymore. Yeah.
Now it's implementing the wisdom. Now it's being instead
Yeah.
of
Imagine how cool would be to switch the model of education, like getting 20 kids in the room and asking, not telling them, hey kids, what is
yes.
time?
Yes.
What is time? And going
Getting
from there,
time.
wherever it's gonna go, digging for years together in time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Curiosity. So creating more curiosity instead of trying to impart knowledge, because then
Yeah.
the wisdom will come through us all. And that is where the uniqueness will happen with this technology and this AI, and emphasizing it as a force for good, a force for God,
Yeah.
really bringing that intelligence. But I know you
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
go,
It's
Elaine,
definitely
so I won't.
not taking people out of the equation, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye. See you.
Appreciate you. Ciao.
Ciao. Thank you so much. Yes.
That was beautiful. What a beautiful. She's such a gift, such an amazing soul.
Wow. Wow.
I'm
Wow.
so grateful that we have her
You
involved
see,
in our.
this is it's not impossible to buy for money.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
can.
impossible. You can't. Like it's the value she's coming with is just beyond
She's
beyond.
infinite. She's such a wisdom keeper. It's beautiful to have her. We're so blessed. We're so lucky,
Yeah.
man. Curious. So tomorrow at this time I'll be flying, or I'll be at the airport waiting for my flight to be coming to you. So maybe in the morning, I'm just gonna check our schedule. So I probably imagine that I might move our meeting to 8 in the morning, so an hour earlier than today. I'm just moving it right now, so we can still do it. And then
Wait.
after that,
Tomorrow you're moving hour earlier.
1 hour
Cool.
earlier, so then I can have enough time to jump in the car, get driven over here or to the flight. Um, so I'm packing. I'm going also to see the engineers this afternoon, at the shop, and the whole team.